to this week's reading vlog. So this week I thought I'd do something a little fun and different, and I am going to read from books that are the colour of the rainbow. I also am going to finish some books that I've started reading, so I'm going to add those at the end because they probably won't be a rainbow colour, but I am going to read 7 books that are the colours of the rainbow, plus whatever books I'm currently reading now, and finishing off one of which is Enchantments. So that's what I thought we'd start off with this week. I'm going to start off with the red book. This is a horror book. I don't know much about it. I just literally looked for books that had the colours. So I'll be starting with that book. Today I am going to see the Barbie movie. I am doing a little vlog for that and posting it on my other channel, Spirited Stardust. Or I might not be. I might decide to can it. We'll see if I actually end up making a video for it. But yes, I'm off to see Barbie today, hence the get up. And we'll see how we go. In regards to dating, I did end up texting Mr. Italiano and asking, would you like to go on a second date? I decided just to have a fun time. Why not? Have a bit of romance for the meantime, get me through the winter. And he said yes. So we've exchanged phone numbers, and I'll see if anything comes of it, because like I said, this guy is very flaky with his communication, but we'll see. Otherwise, besides that, there's no one else. I'm not talking to anybody else at the moment, but I will catch you guys when I get back from seeing Barbie. Good morning. So I saw the Barbie movie yesterday. I have left my opinions on it on my other channels. If you wanted to see what I thought about it, it's on there. I've given it 3 out of 5 stars. There were some amazing things about it that I absolutely loved, but there was some issues with the messaging that I was a bit confused, and the way it was portrayed didn't endear me to the Barbies per se. So I thought it could have been done better. I thought the ending definitely could have been better, but overall it was a good experience. I loved seeing women dressing up in pink and men dressed up as well in their Ken sort of outfits, and it was a fun time overall. So today I'm reading this book. I keep forgetting the name. It's like In the House in the Dark Woods, something like that. Since it's red, I'm wearing red today. It's my red book. I am 4 chapters in. I do like the writing style. It's very mysterious at the moment. We've got a mother and wife who has gone into the woods to collect red berries for her family and has sort of gotten lost. There have been shadows. She's met a mysterious captain in the woods who has led her to this house where a woman has invited her in. I don't know what's going on, but so far I'm liking the vibes. I'm liking the writing style, so we shall see how we go. Today I am staying home and resting after yesterday's socialization. It took a lot out of me. I also went and saw The Machine with my ex, or now friend, former ex, now friend. That was funny. It was quite funny. It's a bit of a silly movie. It's about a comedian, and if you've seen his work, I think his name is Bert Kreischer. He has this bit where he had this experience in Russia when he was like on exchange, and they end up calling him The Machine. Some like shady shit goes down that he ends up being a part of. Anyway, it's been part of his comedy, and he's turned it into a movie, and I thought it was decent. Like, it's a popcorn movie, you know. So I saw that as well. But I'll touch base with you after I read my red book. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. Yeah, carry the whole thing. Oh my goodness.
That's so cute. Sweet.
Okay, so I just finished the book. I'm going to start with the positives. I did like the writing. It was very atmospheric. It was very mysterious. However, the book is confusing as all hell. I think I understand kind of what it's about. I just have feeling it's kind of like almost like a purgatory, and women are being punished for their crimes and can only gain their freedom by swapping places with another woman who's to be punished for their crimes. Is that what's going on in this book? I'm not really sure. I couldn't tell you. It's like a fever dream. You don't know what's real. You don't know what's going on. You don't know which way is up. I didn't like any of the characters in this book. None of them. I kept reading because I was hoping it would be very clear at the end what was going on, but they didn't explain it clearly. Like, I've just used my own conjecture to hypothesize what's going on, but you're not told plainly. So there's no like, this is what's happening. That's how it all pieces together. That doesn't happen. So this book is confusing. What am I going to rate it? I'm going to give it 2.5 stars. I didn't really like it, but I liked it enough to keep reading. And like I said, the writing and the atmosphere was kind of cool, but yeah, this book wasn't for me. It's got a lot of spooky undertones to it. There's a lot of mentions of abuse in this book. There's a lot of physical violence. So those are some warnings. I'm moving on to the orange pick for this week, and I'm decided to go with something that's not disturbing or confusing in any way. So I'm picking a romance, and that is going to be When in Rome. So that is my choice for orange book, and I will touch base with you once I have finished that. Story, you've got this giant pop star who's experiencing burnout, feels alone, decides to go and take a little mini staycation in Rome, Kentucky, because she's trying to emulate Audrey Hepburn's movies. And she decides to take a beat up, rundown car. Even though she's a multimillionaire, she still drives the same car she drove when she was a teenager. And it breaks down on this deserted road, and she has no cell reception. Out of nowhere in the darkness, a really hot, hunky man knocks on her window and asks if she needs help. She thinks he's there to kill her. He's like, "You've parked on my lawn. Let me get you a phone so you can call for help." Basically, that's the shtick. And she ends up having to stay at his place because there's no room at the inn. And he's a big grump, massive grump, and she's like all sunshiny. Now, for me, I gave this 3 stars. So I DNF'd this book at 50%. It was just basic writing, basic characters, basic premise. I didn't like anyone. Wasn't amazed by the plot, wasn't amazed by the writing, didn't really feel the chemistry with the characters. And I'm like, why persevere? Like, this will be a 3 at best. I'm just not into it. I'm not into it. It's not giving me the tingles. So I decided to DNF it. The next book that I picked up for yellow was Trials of the Sun Queen. Guys, straight out the gate, I got Tamlin Rhysand vibes, and I just predicted everything that happened in this book. So the overall plot, there are Fae overlords who have kingdoms. The humans are kind of subjugated and are in poverty. You've got the main character who's in a prison with her siblings. She's been thrown in this prison since she was a child. She did nothing wrong. She shouldn't be there. There's a lot of sexual assault and abuse that goes on. But basically, she ends up finding herself out of the prison and in this Fae world, competing in the trials of the Sun Queen. So whoever wins these deathly, fatal trials becomes the Sun King's new queen. And they sort of join forces, and they both have powers. So even though she's not a Fae, she will get powers from marrying this dude. I'm not going to get into it more than that, but I just knew everything that was going to happen because of the way I was feeling about this character. Seems like this character I've read in another book, and this, it was predictable. And the main character, she's supposed to be hard ass and that kind of, cuss and fucks for pleasure kind of character, but I didn't like her. She was unlikable. So I didn't love the writing, I didn't love the character, and it was too predictable because of other fantasy books I read. If you've never read a fantasy book before, maybe you would really enjoy this, but because I have, this just wasn't it. So I've given it 3 stars. It's still fine. I still read all the way through the end, so it's not bad. It was just predictable. So for my green book, I picked up Wildwood Whispers. And I read 40% of this and then DNF'd it. I don't know why I'm reading so far into these books before DNFing. I just keep thinking maybe it'll get better. I should really trust my gut before I commit so much time. But in this story, you've got 2 kids that are in the foster system. One's a real tough girl that takes out her anger through her fists, and the other one is a quiet, introverted girl who's got like an uncanniness about her. They decide to choose each other as family and be sisters. You fast forward to the future where one of them has passed away, and the other girl is now going to spread her ashes in her hometown that she grew up in. And when she goes there, she starts meeting other people from this town, and she feels connected to her friend's life before she was in the foster system. So for me, this book overall just had a really depressing tone, and the main character didn't really have much to them, and the other characters in the book, especially who I'm assuming is a love interest, oh god, he was so boring. He was so boring and not interesting at all. But she was like, oh, he's so interesting. Is he? Is he though? The point that I decided to DNF it was when a cult and a cult leader were introduced. So this book's supposed to, I guess it has an ominous tone of like, was her friend murdered? Is there a killer? Is there real magic? But for me, it was just so bleak and dull, and but with this background energy of like creepiness and grief and loss, and I just was like, this is a downer. This book is like bringing me down. So I did DNF that one. For my blue book, I am choosing Oona Out of Order. So this is kind of like a time traveler's wife and About Time, which is a movie. In this book, you have Oona, and on her 19th birthday, she finds herself flash forwarded 40 years in the future in the body of her older self. And basically what happens to her is every year, she spends 1 year in that body and then is put into another body and put into another body. So mentally, she's a very different age from what she is physically, and she just keeps going about. So far, I am enjoying it. Only a couple of chapters in, but I love Time Traveler's Wife and About Time, even though I'm not a huge like time travel fan in books because I find it really confusing. But as long as I don't think too much about it and I don't try to unpick it and I just go along for the ride, I really enjoy myself. So I'm hoping this is going to be a great one. Now today, as you can probably tell by my makeup, not by my pajamas, I might be going on a second date tonight with Mr. Italiano. I had to take the initiative with this one, so I decided I did just want to have a fun, flirty, casual time. I just want to go on a date and have some fun and maybe a bit of a passion. It's been a long time since your girl's been kissed, so I thought, let's just go, just because this guy doesn't feel like, he's got long-term potential doesn't mean you can't just have a lovely date and enjoy yourself. So I decided just do that. I did end up having to initiate, so this person just does not text, does not make the move. I have had to do everything. So after a week of not hearing from them, even though they said, yes, I'd like to go on another date, I just said, hey, are you free today? Let's go out. And yes, he is. He's like, great, let's go out to dinner. And I'm like, fantastic. When and where? I've not heard back from him. I'm like, you're killing me. You are killing me. So yeah. Lack of communication is just such an annoying thing for me. I am someone who responds immediately, but I'm like, I action things off. If something can be done immediately, I do it. So when someone literally texts like, yeah, I'd love to go out tonight, and then I reply immediately when and where, and then they don't, I'm just like, but you were just on here. You were on here 10 seconds ago. Where have you gone? And I may not even end up going on a date. I don't know. It's last time we went to dinner about an hour from now. So it may not eventuate into anything. I'm already regretting it. Why I always regret it. I don't know if that's an introvert thing. You always regret the plans that you make because when the time comes to do them, you don't want to do them. So we'll see how we go. All of this just so I can have a kiss. Like, wow. But your girl has needs. I just need someone to look at me like I'm the most beautiful woman in the world and, kiss me. So we'll see how we go, but that's all that's happening today, and I will touch base with you tomorrow on my progress with Oona Out of Order. So I just recorded everything and it wasn't taping. Okay, so basically yesterday at 5 p.m. he still hadn't messaged me, and I said, so where and when are we meeting tonight? He said, probably in this suburb at this time at 7, but I don't know where, I'll let you know. It gets to 6:30 and this suburb takes me 20 minutes to get there. So I said, my dude, if you want to see me at 7 tonight here, I need to know where. He replies back with a pub. I'm like, okay, fine. I had to go call my mum. She came right over, sat the kids, went out. This is not ideal for me. I'm neurospicy and I need to know where I'm going, what time, so I can plan how I'm going to get there. I can see where I can park in that area. I can see what's on the menu. I need to know all these things. Otherwise my nervous system is shot. So I was like in chaos mode. So anyway, I get there, I'm late. He's not there. He's not there again. And I message, he's like, I'm on my way. And I'm like, man, twice in a row, you've got me to go to a pub and you're not there. So anyway, go in, we have a conversation. Once again, 95% of it is them talking, 5% of it is them asking me questions. So it's very still much about him. But I thought, I've come all this way, I may as well get my goodnight kiss. So I get him to walk me back to my car because it was down a dark alley and I was not going to walk back by myself. And we're holding and hugging and looking at each other, and I'm like, he's not going to make the move, I have to do it. So I leaned in, kissed him, and it was a peck, and he pulled back, and I'm like, okay, I'll go in again, you know, like, I want more. So I went back in, once again, peck, like, and pulled back. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'm not being obvious enough. So this time when I went in again, once again, going in, I licked and bit his lip, and I lingered, but he still just went and pulled back. And he's just holding me in his arms, just looking at me, and I'm like, I didn't come here to get pecked like a chicken, bruh. I came here for a pat. And it's not happening. This is like becoming awkward now, and I'm just gonna say goodnight and go home. So I said goodnight and I went home. And I was so dejected and like depressed because it's like this person wasn't compatible for me as a partner. I did ask too because I noticed that the pub was right next door to like the other pub. So I'm like, do you have a car? And he's like, no, I don't. I need someone that has their own mode of transportation, because also where I live is not accessible by public transportation. It's like a bit of a dead zone. So I'm like, that would never have worked. Yeah, this person is also not a person that I'm going to have any more fun flirty dates with, because that just the sexual compatibility didn't work in that case. Like, okay, he's not kissing me and I'm not here to have to instigate everything. That is exhausting, being the one that constantly has to initiate everything and follow up and a pester almost, you know. Yeah, he is going away tomorrow on a holiday, so I'm not going to send the message. I'll wait until he gets back and say, look, it's not a romantic connection for me. Then I wish you well and hope you find the person of your dreams. But yeah, so that was a lesson to me, though, to take control of when and where we're meeting. I don't want to put myself in a situation where I'm just waiting for the other person to decide and then I'm left in like a hurry and a rush. That's not my style, not my speed. So it's fine. I'm just going to be like here and here at this time, you know, because that's what works for me, and I need to do that instead of being polite. But yeah, we'll see how we go. I ended up going back on the apps today because I'd gone off them, and then I said this guy messaged after being off for 10 days, but we went on just to exchange numbers and then went off again. But I've gone back this morning, and there's someone on there who looks like they might have a lot in common with me. So I think this is just a bit sometimes of a numbers game. You just got to keep putting yourself out there, and eventually you'll cross paths with someone that you find really compatible and could have a relationship with. But I'm still reading Oona out of order. It is still interesting. I will talk about it more when I've finished it. There's some bits I like, some bits I don't like, but so far it's kept my interest. Hello. So I just had a shower, excuse the pajamas. I don't want to get into my outfit yet because I'm going on a date today. So the guy that I mentioned this morning that I saw on Hinge that had similar interests, I'm going to call him Book Lover, has asked me out on a date today. So we're going to go to a cafe to get a hot chocolate, which is next door to a bookstore, which we're going to look at after. And that's my ideal date, guys. Hot chocolate and a bookstore during the day on a beautiful sunny day. I'm sold. I don't know anything about this person really, besides that they like books and hot chocolate, and they have kids, don't know how many. They live locally, so that's a plus. They drive because he offered to pick me up, but not getting in a car with a stranger, but that means he has a car. And I had to laugh because I was literally just saying that after the Mr. Italiano experience, communication is important to me. So someone actually replying back in a timely manner. This guy couldn't get any faster at replying. Someone having their own car so they can get to me, and you know, they have their own car. This guy has his own car. And I just found that hilarious. That instantly the universe says, okay, we got your message. Here you go. We're going to throw one at you instantly. Replies back faster than you can even send the message. It's going to take you on your ideal date. It's not a pub at night on a school night, and also drives. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, I've got absolutely no expectation. And I don't know, I think this is a better way to do it. I say now. Just go on a date. And that way too, you immediately know if there is a physical or romantic connection. And then if there is, you can get to know them on the date anyway. And if there isn't, you haven't spent a week learning everything about them just to say, I'm sorry, but we're not going to be seeing each other again. Excuse my laundry in the background. I haven't put it away. So I'm going on a date today, and it's quite fortuitous because today is my date myself day anyway. It's a Thursday. So I'm getting to go out to a cafe like I normally do, and a bookstore. So I'm pumped. But we'll see how it goes. I'm leaving in about half an hour. Like I said, I had to just like mad rush it though. I was like, you know, it was fine. Like I looked fine for myself, but if I'm going on a date with someone, like, oh, I had to wash my hair and I'm waiting for it to completely dry so I can do it, but it's all good. So yeah, I'll let you know how it goes when I get back, but this was an absolute whirlwind. Hello. So I have returned from my date. They definitely look different to their profile photos. So I would say their profile photos were of them when they were younger and maybe filtered a little bit. I didn't have an attraction to them. So they also had a very full white beard. I can't do beards. So I don't know if it's because of the twits. When I was little, reading Roald Dahl's book, I just think of like food and juices and all things stuck in beards, and I can't do it. I can't do it. So I didn't feel any attraction to him either. There was no like chemistry or anything like that. It's lovely to talk to. We had a great discussion about books. So that was really lovely. But the compatibility in terms of other aspects of our personalities did not align. So it was an instant no, pretty much so. Unfortunately, it was a bust, but it was nice to get out in the sun and to go strolling through readings and seeing what books are available. So that was amazing. I probably will be seeing this person around because their kids go to the same school my kids go to. Haven't crossed paths yet. Live in the same suburb, kids at the same schools, but yet somehow I've never crossed paths. Even his library that he goes to is a library I used to work at for how many years, but we never cross paths. It's so weird, isn't it? You can be in the same thing and just never at the same time, never in the same place at the same time. That was that, but I did go to my library today after going to readings. I was like, I have to go and get some books. So I've picked up Bitter Medicine by Tsai. So I'm definitely going to read this for my indigo book, my rainbow thing. So that was very fortuitous. I've got The Plant Thieves. I've got Atalanta, so that one as well. I've got All the Little Bird Hearts, and the last book I got was Ayurveda for Women. So I'm excited to read all those. I still haven't put my laundry away, so you can see. But yeah, today was still nice. I had a hot chocolate, but that was it because the place was out of pastries, so they only had hot chocolates left. So I have to go and make myself some lunch. There's probably going to be some cold pizza. But that was it today, and I feel like this has become my dating diaries instead of my book reviews, but that's just the stage of life I'm at right now. That's everything for today, and I'll catch you later on. Hello. So I just finished Oona Out of Order, and I have very mixed opinions about this. So like I said previously, the book with Oona, every night on her birthday on New Year's Eve, she goes into a different body of herself. So she might be 20 years old on the inside and then she goes forward to her 80-year-old body, or she might be 70 years old and she gets taken back to her 24-year-old body. So she just ping-pongs all over time. Now you would think that if you have this condition that on midnight on your birthday every year on New Year's Eve, you're going to swap bodies. The logical thing to do would be to make sure that you are at home at that point, not inebriated, with a journal sitting there waiting for your next self to read and catch up on what's been going on, to set yourself up for success, you know? You would think that the wrong choice would be to go to a nightclub, high as a kite on a multitude of drugs, so that your next self can go into that body. The first half of the book, 50% of the book, Oona's just going on a bender. She's just making awful decision after awful decision, and it doesn't make sense because it's like, no one would do this if they were put in this position. No one would do this to themselves every year. So I wasn't liking it. And then there's a twist halfway through, which finally added some emotional depth to the book, which is what it was missing. And I enjoyed it a bit more. Oona does do stuff which is smart. So in the future, she is incredibly rich because she basically does a biff from Back to the Future and amasses all the knowledge of which companies to invest in and what stocks to buy and sell and when, and takes it back to the past so she can make her dough. That's the only thing that she does in the beginning to set herself up. So I'm going to give it a 3 stars. because like I said, I wasn't liking Oona. I was finding all of her decisions to be real dumb, and it was frustrating to read about. But then over halfway through, I think it's 3/4 of the way through, a twist is revealed, and it made it interesting. So then I started enjoying it a little bit, and I started thinking about some things. But otherwise, it's very fluffy. It has a lot of obviously dated pop culture references and vernacular, because each era she goes to, that, you know, she's trying to be in with the times. So that was weird to read about. But I think a lot of people would like this book. Yeah, it's just for me, just the start of it, I was like, why are you doing this? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? I also had an ick factor too, where, can you imagine if you were 80 years old on the inside and you get put back in your 22-year-old body and you have like a 22-year-old husband? Or the flip side of that, you're 22 and you flash to the future and you're 80 and you've got an 80-year-old husband. It's like, well, no sex, just not happening. It's just not going on. I just wonder like how much you would actually be lined up with the partner that you were with in that time period. And some things happen, and I'm just like, that could have been avoided. That could have been avoided. That could have been handled better. But yeah, I guess it's entertaining. So I'm giving it 3, but it might be one that I think, like I said, might appeal to a lot of people. The next book I'm reading is that blue one that I mentioned that I got from the library today. So that will be my indigo selection, and I'll let you know how that goes. Good morning. So last night, middle of the night, my big kiddo came in with a sore throat. I've woken up with a headache and my glands are swollen. So we're all having a stay at home day today, and hopefully nip whatever this is in the bud, because we've done our time with illness. We had our 3 weeks and hopefully it's over. So here we have bitter medicine. I DNF'd this after 39 pages. Yeah. So in this book, you've got agents and fae, and the main character is 125 years old, and she paints these glyphs that are infused with magic that the agents used to whatever purpose that they wanted. Now, tell me why these beings that are hundreds of years old, speak like they're 15. They sound like 15-year-olds. The dialogue was incredibly cringy. I wasn't a fan of the writing. The world building was lacking, and when I read reviews, some people said that it's not really explained, the magic system's not really explained. So I decided to DNF it. I wasn't feeling it. I am currently reading the Soulmate equation for my Violet. It's more of a purple, but we're saying it's Violet. And this book is about a down-on-her-luck single mum and a grouchy hot scientist. So the single mum has been ogling hot scientist for quite a while. Turns out hot scientist has a matchmaking company based on genetic compatibility. So things happen and she ends up spinning in a tube, and lo and behold, her and hot scientist have a 98% compatibility diamond level, and they want to use that for publicity. So they offer to pay her to date grouchy scientist. At the moment, I'm not that into it. He did describe her as like horribly average, something of that vein. And I'm like, would you ever want to go out with a dude that looks at you and just thinks, oh, geez, real middle of the road average? No, I would not. So we'll see if it improves. At the moment, the writing is okay. It's very fluff. It's very light. There's no real depth to it. I do like that she's a single mum trying to navigate dating as well, because, you know, resonate. So I'm going to continue and see if it improves, because romance books is all about the love interest. If I don't like the characters together, if I'm not shipping them, I ain't going to read it. But after this one, I will be doing a pink book. I know pink's not in the rainbow, but I want to. So I will touch base with you when I have finished or DNF'd the Soulmate equation. Okay, so I just finished reading the Soulmate equation. It is cute. It is cute. Hey, sweetie. I am going to give it a 3.75 stars though, because of the conflict, which had nothing to do with the couple per se. After that conflict, the guy, River, went to MIA for 8 days, didn't text her once, didn't respond to any of her calls, messages. I don't like that. I've had that happen to me. And it doesn't matter what the situation is. Maybe if, like, say, a parent died or something, just one text to say, hey, I need time alone to process this. I love you. Everything with us is fine, but I just need to be completely, in solitude until I figure this out. And then once I'm in the clear, will hook back up again. You know, just one text, but didn't happen. So I've given it 3.75 stars, which is still good. I still enjoy my stuff. There were still some giddy moments. It was nice. Okay, so I just finished reading Frizzy for my pink selection. So it's about a young Latina girl who has beautifully wild, frizzy hair, like my daughter does. So my daughter doesn't have my type of hair. And that's the reason I picked up this book, because she's been struggling with accepting her hair the way it is. And when I took her to the hairdresser for the first time, I was a bit shocked when she asked the hairdresser, "Can you make my hair thinner and straight?" And that's when I was like, oh, we have a issue with acceptance of her hair here. So she's at that age where she just wants to be like her peers, and all of her peers have, you know, like sleek, thin, straight, well, kind of like my hair, straight hair. And she does not. So after that day, she didn't want to wash her hair because she knows as soon as it gets wet, it'll be its gorgeous self. I did chat to her, and I think as much as you try as a parent to instill a sense of like self-love and acceptance into your children, they don't really like to listen to you, and it's not that easy. So I tried to explain to her that like thinning out and straightening her hair every single day wasn't good for her hair, and that, you know, let's find ways to embrace what you have and to, I don't know, bring the best out of it. So I started looking on YouTube, and the method that they use in this book to care for that hair is the same method that I found. And my daughter did like the way that method made her hair look, although she still does ask for special occasions, can she go and get it thinned and straightened? But, you know, it helped her feel more confident with her hair without, you know, damaging it. So I did like that in this book. In this book, though, a lot of the daughter doesn't hate her own hair because of her own feelings. It's a lot stemming from the mother, and the mother believing that she only will look acceptable if she has her hair straightened. And so that was yuck to read about. You understand why the mother feels that way, and the daughter does end up talking to her mother and telling her, like, look, this is my hair. I like it the way it is. I want it curly. I want it voluminous. I want it, you know, this way. I don't want to straighten it anymore. And that's kind of resolved, and the mother changes her view. But reading all the parts where she was just shaming her daughter all the time for like getting sweaty or getting her hair wet because it frizzes up. Yeah, yuck and awful. So I will pass it on to my daughter, but I have a feeling she'll think it's too young for her. But yeah, if you have a child who has gorgeously, you know, thick and wild and frizzy hair, and they are not loving it, or they're comparing it to the hair of their peers, which and you're not sure how to proceed, this could be a good book to give to them. And also, like I said, if I hadn't found the method myself online, this book has it in there, like with the products to use and how to care for that hair and bring the most out of it. So I appreciate that. I think this is a good resource to have. And yeah, it would have been very helpful if I'd had it at the beginning, rather than trying to just blindly stumble my way through trying to figure out what I could do for my child to help her be more comfortable with the way she looks. So yeah, if I was going to rate this, I love the illustrations. It's a quick read. It's an easy read. I'd probably give it a 3.75 because like I'm an adult. So I'm not the target audience for this, clearly. But it's, I think, for younger kids who are going through this situation, whether or not they don't like their hair because their parents have made them feel insecure about it, or because they internally feel insecure about it and comparing themselves to others, I think it's a good book. So that was my week of rainbow reads this week. It was fun just to pick books based on their colour. I had some hits, I had some misses, and some in-betweens, but that's all the books for this week. I hope that wherever you are having a colourful morning, afternoon, or evening, and as always, stay wild, star child.